Jake Morrison stood in the dark room watching the screens. Red dots moved across the display like angry insects. Each dot was a ship. Each ship carried thousands of soldiers. All of them were coming to Earth. How many? Jake asked the woman next. To him, 2,047 ships, Lisa Park said. She was the head of Earth's military. Her voice was calm, but her hands shook. The biggest fleet anyone has ever seen. Jake had been a soldier for 20 years. He had fought in the Mars colonies. He had seen battles in the asteroid belt. But nothing like this. The Zephyrian Empire was coming to take Earth. They wanted to make humans into slaves. Did they answer our message? Jake asked. Lisa shook her head. They laughed. Admiral Thylex said we were bugs trying to threaten giants. 3 months ago, Earth had sent a warning to the Zephyrian Empire. The message was simple: stay away from our space. Do not come to Earth. You will not like what happens if you do. The Empire had ruled 47 star systems. They had never lost a war. Their ships were faster than anything humans had built. Their weapons could destroy planets. They thought Earth would be easy to conquer. They were wrong. Kevin Chun walked into the room carrying a tablet. He was the head of Earth's Science Division. His face was serious. The outer defenses are ready, he said. All systems are online. Jake looked at the tablet. It showed a map of the solar system. Around Neptune's orbit, small blue dots floated in space. These were the quantum mines, invisible, deadly. The Zephyrians had no idea they were there. What? About the time weapons? Lisa asked. Ready, Kevin said. 60 satellites positioned around Jupiter. When they activate, time itself will become our weapon. Jake had been there when the scientists first tested the time weapons. They had taken a small asteroid and slowed its time down. 1 second for. The asteroid became 1 hour for everything else. The rock had moved so slow it seemed frozen in space. The gravity generators? Lisa asked. Kevin smiled for the first time in weeks. Hidden in the asteroid belt, 47 units. Each one can create a black hole. These were not real black holes. They were smaller, but they could still tear apart a spaceship. The Zephyrians would fly right into them, and if all of that fails? Jake asked. The room went quiet. Everyone knew about Protocol 7. It was the last weapon. The one they hoped never to use. Then we show them what humans really are, Lisa said. Dr. Amy Foster was in the next room studying Zephyrian psychology. She had spent 5 years learning. How they thought, how they acted, how they made decisions. They are proud, she had told the military leaders. Too proud, they will not retreat even when they should. They will keep fighting even when they are losing. This was good news for Earth. It meant the Zephyrians would walk into every trap. They would not run away when things got bad. They would stay and fight until the end. The Zephyrian fleet was now past Pluto. They moved in perfect formation. Their ships were beautiful in a deadly way. Silver and gold hulls that reflected starlight. Energy shields that glowed blue around each vessel. Admiral Thylex sat on the bridge of his flagship. He was 8 feet tall with 4 arms and skin like leather. His species had conquered half the galaxy. He had personally defeated 12 different alien races. These humans think they can threaten us, he said to his officers. They have been in space for less than 200 years. We have ruled the stars for 2,000. His tactical officer looked at the sensor readings. Sir, we are detecting some unusual energy signatures near Neptune. Thylex waved a hand. Primitive scanning equipment. Or perhaps they are trying to jam our sensors. It does not matter. We will crush them like insects. Back on Earth, Jake watched the enemy fleet get closer. Each ship was the size of a city. Their weapons could destroy the moon. But humans had learned something important during their short time in space. Size was not everything. Speed was not everything. Sometimes the smallest weapon could defeat the biggest enemy. Remember, Lisa said to her staff, we tried to warn them. We told them to stay away. This is their choice. The Earth Defense Force had been built in secret. For 50 years, humans had prepared for this day. They had studied every alien race. They had learned from every battle. They had built weapons that no one else had ever imagined. "Sir," a young officer said to Jake, "incoming transmission from the Zephyrian fleet." Jake nodded. "Put it on screen." Admiral Thylex appeared on the display. His 4 eyes glowed with anger. "Humans of Earth," he said, "you will surrender now. Open your shields. Prepare your planet for occupation." "You have 1 hour," Jake stepped forward. "Admiral Thylex, I am Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth Defense Force. We sent you a warning 3 months ago. You chose to ignore it." Thylex laughed. It was a harsh sound like metal scraping against stone. "Your warning? You told us to stay away from your little blue world. Did you think we would be frightened by primitives?" "No," Jake said calmly. "We thought you would be smart enough to listen." "We are the Zephyrian Empire," Thylex roared. "We have conquered worlds when your species was still living in caves. We do not take orders from insects." Jake looked at Lisa. She nodded. "Admiral," Jake said, "you have made your choice. In 1 hour, you will cross into our defensive perimeter. When that happens, you will discover why Earth has never been conquered." Thylex laughed again. "You have no defenses that can stop us. Your technology is centuries behind ours. Your ships are toys compared to our fleet." "Perhaps," Jake said. "But you are about to learn something about humans. We do not fight the way you expect us to fight. We do not follow the rules that other species follow. And we never, ever give up." The transmission ended. Thylex turned to his officers. "Prepare for battle. This will be over quickly." He was right about one thing. It would be over quickly. But not in the way he expected. Jake looked around the command center. Every person there knew they might not survive the next few hours. But they also knew something else. Earth would not fall. Not today, not ever. "All stations report ready," Lisa announced. Jake nodded. "Then let's show the galaxy what happens when you laugh at a human warning." The Zephyrian fleet crossed Neptune's orbit. The battle for Earth was about to begin. The first Zephyrian ship to cross the invisible line around Neptune simply vanished. One moment it was there on the sensors. The next moment it was gone. Admiral Thylex stared at his display. "Where did it go?" His science officer checked the readings. 3 times. "Unknown, sir. The ship just disappeared." "No explosion? No debris?" "It simply ceased to exist at these coordinates." Then another ship vanished, then 5 more, then 20. "Evasive maneuvers," Thylex ordered, but there was nothing to evade. The quantum mines were invisible. They had no energy signature. They were impossible to detect until they activated. Each mine worked the same way. When a ship came close, the mine would grab it and send it somewhere else. The Zephyrian ships were not destroyed. They were moved. Some went to empty space between stars. Others appeared in distant galaxies. All of them were too far away to help in the battle. "Sir," the tactical officer reported, "we have lost 68 ships in the last 10 minutes. Thylex had never seen anything like this. His fleet was the most powerful in the galaxy. His ships had shields that could stop any weapon. But how do you fight an enemy you cannot see? "Push forward," he commanded. "Whatever these traps are, there cannot be many of them." He was wrong. Kevin Chun had spent 2 years placing quantum mines throughout the outer solar system. There were over 300 of them. Each one could remove a ship from the battle. The Zephyrians would lose hundreds more before they reached Jupiter. On Earth, Jake Morrison watched the enemy fleet shrink. "How many have we got so far?" 112 ships displaced," reported the officer at the sensor station. "The mines are working better than we hoped." But Jake knew this was just the beginning. The Zephyrians were smart. They would figure out how to avoid the mines. Then the real battle would start. Admiral Thylex was indeed learning. He ordered his ships to spread out. They moved in random patterns. They changed course every few minutes. It helped, but not enough. The mines still caught them. "These humans are more clever than we thought," he admitted to his staff. "But cleverness will not save them when we reach their world." The Zephyrian fleet had lost over 200 ships by the time they reached Jupiter. Thylex was angry but not worried. He still had more than enough ships to destroy Earth, more than enough to teach these humans their place in the galaxy. That was when the temporal satellites activated. Time is the same everywhere in normal space. 1 second on Earth equals 1 second on any other planet. But the temporal satellites could change that. They could make time move fast or slow in small areas of space. The first Zephyrian ship to hit a time field suddenly aged 50 years in 10 seconds. Its hull turned from bright silver to dull gray. Its shields flickered and died. The crew inside grew old and died before they could understand what was happening. Another ship hit a field that slowed time down. From the outside it looked like the ship was barely moving. The crew inside felt normal. But to everyone else, they were frozen in time. "What is this?" Thylex screamed. "What kind of weapon affects time itself?" His science officer was checking readings frantically. "Sir, we are detecting 60 artificial time fields around Jupiter. They are moving. They seem to be targeting our ships deliberately." Thylex watched in horror as his perfect formation fell apart. Ships that were moving too fast crashed into ships that were moving too slow. Vessels aged to death in seconds while others became trapped in slow time. "Destroy those satellites," he ordered. The Zephyrians began firing their plasma cannons at the temporal satellites. They were small targets and hard to hit, but the Empire had the best gunners in the galaxy. One by one, the satellites exploded. Ryan Bell watched from Earth's orbital defense platform. He was in charge of the temporal weapons. "They are learning," he reported to Jake. "They have destroyed 40% of the time satellites." "That's okay," Jake replied. "We expected that." "How many ships have they lost?" 307 total, Ryan said. "They still have over 1,700 left." Jake nodded. The quantum mines and time weapons had done their job. They had hurt the enemy fleet. They had made the Zephyrians angry and confused. But the real test was still coming. Admiral Thylex regrouped his remaining ships near Jupiter's largest moon. He had lost almost 400 vessels without even seeing the enemy. His officers were scared. His crew was nervous. "Sir," his communications officer said, "the humans are sending another message." Thylex wanted to ignore it, but he needed to understand what he was fighting. Put it through. Jake Morrison appeared on the screen again. Behind him, Earth looked blue and peaceful. "Admiral Thylex, you have now lost 400 ships. This is your last chance to turn around and leave." Thylex stood up. All 4 of his arms were clenched into fists. "You think your tricks frighten me? You think your hidden weapons will save you? I still have more ships than your entire planet." "Has people—" "Yes," Jake said, "you do. But Admiral, you are making a mistake. You think this is about numbers. You think this is about who has the bigger fleet." "It is," Thylex said. "And I have the bigger fleet." Jake shook his head. "You still do not understand. This is not about fleets. This is about humans. And you have no idea what humans can do when they are threatened." "Your species is young," Thylex replied. "You have been in space for less than 2 centuries. We have been conquering worlds for 2,000 years. You cannot teach us anything about war." Jake was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was different, colder. "Admiral, human history is not 200 years long. It is much, much longer, and most of that history is war. Primitive war," Thylex said. "Sticks and stones, not space combat." "You are wrong," Jake said. "Human war is different from alien war. We do not fight for territory. We do not fight for resources. We fight to destroy our enemies completely. We fight until one side cannot fight anymore." Thylex laughed. "Big words from a small species." "In 15 minutes you will cross into the inner solar system," Jake continued. "When you do, you will meet our second line of defenses. After that, if you are still alive, you will meet our third line. And if you somehow survive that, you will meet our fourth line." "How many lines of defense do you have?" Thylex asked, curious despite himself. Jake smiled. It was not a nice smile. "That depends on how long you keep fighting. We have been preparing for this day for 50 years. We have built 7 different types of weapons. Each one is worse than the last. Impossible, Thylex said. Your technology is not advanced enough. Our technology comes from studying your technology, Jake replied. Every ship you have lost in the past 100 years. Every weapon you have dropped. Every piece of equipment you have left behind. We have found it. We have studied it. We have made it better. This was true. For decades, human salvage teams had been collecting alien technology from old battlefields. Earth scientists had reverse-engineered everything. They had improved on the original designs. In some cases, they had created entirely new weapons. Thylex felt a cold fear growing in his chest, but he pushed it away. Even if that is true, you cannot have enough ships to stop us. You are right, Jake agreed. We do not have enough ships. We have something better. What? We have humans. The transmission ended. Thylex stared at the blank screen. Around him, his officers were quiet. They had heard the confidence in the human's voice. They had seen something in his eyes that made them nervous. Sir, the tactical officer said, should we proceed with the attack? Thylex thought about retreating. For just a moment, he considered turning the fleet around and leaving the system, but that was impossible. The Empire did not retreat, ever. Continue the advance, he ordered. These humans are trying to frighten us with words. We will show them the power of the Zephyrian Empire. The fleet moved toward Mars. As they flew, Thylex studied the reports from the battle so far. The humans had destroyed 400 ships without losing a single vessel of their own. Their weapons were invisible. Their technology was unknown, but numbers were numbers. Math was math. 1,700 ships against one small planet. The humans might hurt him badly, but they could not win, or so he thought. Dr. Amy Foster sat in her laboratory on Earth studying Zephyrian behavior patterns. She had been watching the fleet's movements for hours. Everything was going exactly as she had predicted. They will not retreat, she told Lisa Park over the communication system. Their pride will not let them. Thylex would rather die than admit defeat to a younger species. Good, Lisa replied. That makes this easier. Amy looked at her research notes. She had studied 17 different alien species. Humans were different from all of them. Other species fought to win territory. They fought to gain resources. They fought to prove their strength. Humans fought to survive. And when humans fought to survive, they became something else entirely. The Zephyrian fleet was now 12 hours away from Mars, in the asteroid belt. Hidden weapons were powering up. On Earth, soldiers were taking their positions. In deep space, secret ships were moving into place. Jake Morrison put on his uniform. In a few hours, he would be in command of humanity's entire military force. Win or lose, this battle would decide the future of the human race. Are you scared? Lisa asked. Jake thought about the question. Yes, he said. But not of losing. I'm scared of what we might have to do to win. Lisa understood. Protocol 7 was not just a weapon. It was a door. Once they opened it, they could nev the gravity well generators turned on all at once. Space itself began to bend and twist around the Zephyrian fleet. What had been empty space? Between Mars and the asteroid belt suddenly became a maze of crushing force. Admiral, Thylex felt his ship shake as gravity pulled it in 3 different directions. What is happening? He demanded. Artificial gravity wells, his science officer reported, terror in his voice. Dozens of them. They are creating miniature black holes around our fleet. Thylex watched his sensors as ships began to stretch and bend. The gravity wells were not strong enough to create real black holes, but they were strong enough to tear apart anything made of metal and flesh. Zephyrian destroyer tried to escape one gravity well by flying toward another. The 2 forces caught the ship between them and pulled it apart like bread. The hull split down the middle. The crew died instantly. Reverse course? Thylex ordered. Get us away from these things. But there was nowhere to go. The gravity wells surrounded his fleet on all sides. Dr. Peter Rodriguez had spent 20 years designing this trap. He had studied gravity for longer than most species had been in space. He knew exactly where to place each generator for maximum effect. The Zephyrian ships tried to use their engines to escape. But engines work by pushing against something. When space itself is twisted, there is nothing to push against. The ships spun helplessly as gravity played with them like toys. "Sir," the tactical officer called out, "we are losing ships rapidly. Current count shows 300 vessels destroyed or disabled." Thylex had never seen anything like this. His ships were some of the strongest ever built. Their hulls could survive the heat of a sun. Their shields could stop weapons that could crack planets. But they could not fight gravity itself. "Target the source," he ordered. "Find whatever is creating these gravity wells and destroy it." The Zephyrians began firing into empty space. Their plasma cannons lit up the darkness between planets. They shot at asteroids. They shot at anything that might be hiding the human weapons. Some shots found their targets. The gravity well generators were hidden throughout the asteroid belt, disguised as rocks. When the Zephyrians hit one, the gravity well would collapse. But there were 47 generators. The aliens could not find them all. Jake Morrison watched the battle from his command ship. The Liberty was small compared to the Zephyrian vessels. But it was fast and it was smart. Human ships were built differently than alien ships. They were designed to survive, not to look impressive. "How many have we got?" Jake asked his tactical officer. 430 ships destroyed," came the reply. "But they are adapting. They are finding our generators." Jake nodded. This was expected. The gravity wells were meant to hurt the enemy, not destroy them completely. The real test would come when the surviving ships reached Earth's inner defenses. Admiral Thylex managed to get his remaining ships through the gravity field. He had lost almost half his fleet, but he still had over 900 ships left. That was still more than enough to conquer one planet. "Sir," his communications officer said, "we are receiving another transmission from the humans." "Ignore it," Thylex snarled. He did not want to hear more threats from the primitives, but the transmission came through anyway. This time it was not Jake Morrison. It was a woman with short brown hair and cold eyes. "Admiral Thylex," she said, "this is Director Lisa Park of Earth Defense Command. You have now lost over half your fleet. Your remaining ships are damaged and your crew is demoralized. This is your final chance to retreat." Thylex laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You think your tricks will stop the Zephyrian Empire? We have conquered civilizations that were 1,000 years more advanced than you." "Perhaps," Lisa said. "But you have never fought humans before." "Your species is nothing special," Thylex replied. "You are young, you are weak. You have no experience." With real war, Lisa was quiet for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was very soft. "Admiral, human history is 6,000 years of war. We have fought with stones and clubs. We have fought with swords and arrows. We have fought with guns and bombs. We have fought with nuclear weapons against our own people." "Primitive conflicts." Thylex dismissed. "No," Lisa said, "practice." The transmission ended. Thylex stared at the blank screen. Something about the human woman's voice bothered him. She had spoken like someone who knew secrets, dark secrets. "Sir," the tactical officer reported, "we are now approaching the inner system defenses." Thylex looked at his sensors. Earth was visible now, a small blue dot in the distance. It looked so peaceful, so helpless. How could one small planet have caused him so much trouble? "All ships prepare for final assault," he ordered. "We end this now." But the humans were not finished with their surprises. Sarah Johnson sat in the cockpit of her fighter ship. It was smaller than a Zephyrian escape pod, but it was faster than anything the Empire had ever built, and it was smarter. "All fighter. Wings, this is lead," she said into her communicator. "Enemy fleet is entering our engagement zone. Remember your training. Remember what we are fighting for." The human fighter fleet launched from hidden bases throughout the inner system. 3,000 small ships against 900 large ones. In any normal battle, the fighters would be destroyed in minutes, but these were not normal fighters. Each one was controlled by an artificial intelligence that could think faster than any biological brain. The AI could predict enemy movements. It could calculate the best flight path through defensive fire. It could make a small fighter ship nearly impossible to hit. Sarah's fighter darted between the huge Zephyrian ships like a bird flying between trees. Enemy plasma cannons fired at her, but the AI controlling her ship had already calculated where those shots would go. Her fighter was somewhere else before the energy beams reached her position. "Target their sensor arrays," Sarah ordered her. "Wing, blind them first." The human fighters swarmed over the Zephyrian fleet. They were too small and too fast for the big guns to track. But they carried weapons designed specifically to hurt large ships. Quantum torpedoes that could punch through any shield. Virus bombs that would shut down computer systems. Admiral Thylex watched his fleet come under attack from insects. That is what the human fighters looked like to him. Tiny bugs buzzing around his mighty ships, but these bugs had teeth. "Point. Defense systems," he ordered. "Swat these flies." The Zephyrian ships had smaller weapons designed to fight fighters. Rapid-fire energy guns that could shoot hundreds of times per minute. But the human fighters were ready for this too. Sarah's AI warned her about incoming fire 3 seconds before the guns actually fired. Her ship twisted and spun through space, avoiding every shot. Around her, her wingmates did the same. The Zephyrians fired thousands of energy bolts. Almost all of them hit empty space. "This is impossible," Thylex muttered. "No pilot can be this good." He was right. No biological pilot could fly like this. But humans had learned to work with artificial intelligence instead of competing against it. The AI calculated the best moves. The human pilot made the final decisions. Together they were better than either could be alone. The fighter attack lasted 30 minutes. When it was over, the Zephyrian fleet had lost another 100 ships. Their remaining vessels were damaged and scared. Their crews had never faced an enemy like this, but Thylex was not finished. He still had 800 ships. That was still enough to destroy Earth. "All remaining vessels," he broadcast to his fleet. "Ignore the fighters. Proceed directly to the planet. Target the population centers. If we cannot rule these humans, we will destroy them." This was exactly what the humans had been waiting for. Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the ESS Liberty. Around him, his crew was calm and professional. They had trained for this moment for years. They knew what they had to do. "Admiral," his tactical officer said, "the enemy is targeting our cities." Jake nodded. This changed everything. As long as the Zephyrians had been trying to conquer Earth, humans could use non-lethal weapons. They could disable enemy ships instead of destroying them. They could fight a clean war, but now the Empire was targeting civilians. They were trying to commit genocide. And that meant all rules were off. "Send the signal," Jake ordered. Throughout human space, a coded message was broadcast. 3 words that every human soldier knew. 3 words that meant the time for restraint was over. Protocol 7 authorized. Dr. Helen Carter sat in her laboratory deep beneath the Earth's surface. She had spent 15 years developing Protocol 7. She had hoped never to use it. But the Zephyrians had made their choice. "Are you sure about this?" she asked Lisa Park over the communication system. "They are targeting our children," Lisa replied. "Our families, our entire species." "Yes, I am sure," Helen nodded and began entering codes into her computer. What she was about to unleash would change the galaxy forever. Once Protocol 7 was activated, there would be no going back. "Beginning transmission in 60 seconds, she announced. Admiral Thylex ordered his remaining ships to form up for the final assault on Earth. His plasma cannons were charged. His missile tubes were loaded with planet-killer warheads. He would turn the human homeworld into ash and dust. "Sir," his science officer said, "we are detecting a new transmission." Admiral Thylex sat alone in his quarters staring at nothing. His fleet was retreating, but his mind was still trapped in the human transmission. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw images of human wars, battles that lasted for years. Weapons that could destroy entire continents. Soldiers who fought until their last breath. The door chimed. His tactical officer entered without waiting for permission. "Sir, we have a problem." Thylex looked up slowly. "What now?" "The crew, sir. They are refusing orders. They will not stop the retreat. They say they never want to see Earth again." Thylex understood. He felt the same way. Protocol 7 had not just shown them human military history. It had made them feel it, made them experience what it was like to fight against humans, made them understand that humanity had been holding back during the entire battle. "Sir," the officer continued, "there is something else. We are receiving communications from other ships in the fleet. Some captains are asking if we should warn the galaxy about what we found here." Thylex considered this. Warning other species about Earth would be the smart thing to do. But it would also mean admitting that the mighty Zephyrian Empire had been defeated by a younger species. His pride fought against his common sense. "Tell them to maintain communication silence," he ordered. "We will discuss this when we reach home." But he knew it was already too late. Word would spread. It always did. On Earth, Jake Morrison stood in the command center reviewing damage reports. Humanity had won the battle without losing a single ship. The gravity weapons had worked perfectly. The fighter squadrons had performed beyond expectations. Protocol 7 had ended the war in minutes, but Jake was not celebrating. "The psychological scans are troubling," Dr. Helen Carter reported. "The Zephyrians who experienced Protocol 7 have suffered permanent mental damage. Their neural pathways have been fundamentally altered. Will they recover?" Lisa Park asked. Helen shook her head. "No, they will never be the same. The human military history they experienced is now part of their permanent memory. They will never be able to forget what they saw." This was the terrible price of Protocol 7. It did not just defeat enemies, it broke them completely. Jake had hoped never to use such a weapon, but the Zephyrians had forced his hand when they targeted Earth cities. "Any word from the other galactic powers?" Jake asked. "The Altarian Council is requesting an emergency session," Lisa replied. "The Crystalline Federation has closed their borders. The Hive Collective has recalled all their ships to home space." Jake was not surprised. News of the battle was already spreading through the galaxy. 47 star systems that had feared the Zephyrian Empire now knew that a single human world had destroyed their fleet. Dr. Amy Foster was analyzing communications intercepts from across known space. "The psychological impact is spreading beyond the Zephyrians," she reported. "Other species are starting to study human history. What they are finding is scaring them." This was inevitable. Humans had always assumed that other species fought wars the same way they did, but aliens had different concepts of warfare. Most species fought until one side gained an advantage. Then they negotiated, they made treaties. They found peaceful solutions. Humans fought until one side could not fight anymore. "Sir," a communication officer called to Jake, "incoming transmission from the Altarian homeworld." Jake looked at Lisa. "Put it through." The holographic display showed Ambassador Vex of the Altarian Council. His tentacles were pale with fear. "Captain Morrison, I am contacting you on behalf of 43 member species of the Galactic Council. What can I do for you, Ambassador?" Jake asked politely. "We wish to establish formal diplomatic relations with Earth," Vex said quickly. "We also wish to discuss mutual defense treaties and trade agreements and cultural exchange programs." Jake almost smiled. A week ago, these same species had ignored Earth's warnings about the Zephyrian invasion. They had considered humans to be an unimportant new species. Now they wanted to be friends. "That sounds reasonable," Jake replied. "We can schedule talks for next month?" "Next month?" Vex's tentacles turned even paler. "Could we perhaps begin discussions immediately?" "Today." If possible, Jake understood. The aliens were scared. They wanted to make sure Earth knew they were friends, not enemies. They had seen what happened to the Zephyrian Empire. They did not want the same thing to happen to them. "We can begin preliminary discussions," Jake agreed. "But first I need something from the Council." "Anything," Vex said quickly. I want a formal declaration that Earth's solar system is off-limits to all military vessels. No armed ships within 50 light-years of our borders without our permission. Vex did not hesitate. Agreed. I will present the motion to the Council. Today it will pass unanimously. After the transmission ended, Lisa looked at Jake with concern. Is this what we wanted? To become the species that everyone fears? Jake thought about the question. We wanted to be left alone. If fear is what it takes to achieve that, then yes. But privately, he worried about the future. Fear was a powerful tool, but it was also dangerous. Scared species did unpredictable things. They formed alliances. They built new weapons. They planned revenge. Dr. Kevin Chun was already working on this problem. We need to stay ahead of the technology curve, he told his research team. The galaxy knows we have advanced weapons now. They will try to build counters. His scientists were studying captured Zephyrian technology. The Empire's ships had been more advanced than human vessels in many ways, but they had also been built for a different kind of war. A war where both sides followed the same rules. The key advantage we have, Dr. Chun explained to a meeting of military leaders, is that we think differently. Other species try to build bigger ships, stronger shields, more powerful guns. We build weapons that change the rules of engagement. This was true. The quantum mines did not try to overpower enemy shields. They simply moved the ship somewhere. Else, the gravity wells did not try to penetrate armor. They twisted space itself. Protocol 7 did not attack enemy bodies. It attacked their minds. What do we do if they try to copy our technology? Lisa asked. Dr. Chun smiled. Let them try. Our weapons are not just technology, they are philosophy. You cannot copy the human way of thinking about war. But Jake was not so confident. He knew that the galaxy was full of smart species. Some of them would study human tactics. Some would find ways to defend against human weapons. And some would build new weapons specifically designed to fight humans. We need to be prepared for retaliation, he told his staff. This victory will not be the end, it will be the beginning. Admiral Thylex's fleet finally reached the edge of the solar system. As they crossed into interstellar space, he ordered his ships to maintain radio silence. He did not want any other species to know what had happened until he decided how to report it. But secrets had a way of escaping. Junior officers talked to their friends. Engineers shared technical reports. Scientists published research papers. Within days, every major civilization in the galaxy knew that the Zephyrian Empire had been defeated by Earth. The news spread in different ways. Some species heard about the quantum mines and began developing new types of shields. Others learned about the time weapons and started researching temporal defense systems. A few heard about Protocol 7 and immediately banned all research into human psychology, but the most common reaction was simpler. Species throughout the galaxy began marking their star charts. They drew large circles around Earth's solar system. Inside those circles, they wrote warnings in dozens of different languages. All the warnings said the same thing: do not go here. Dr. Amy Foster received reports from human intelligence agents stationed throughout the galaxy. Trade routes are being rerouted, she told Jake. Some shipping companies are adding weeks to their travel time just to avoid our space. Diplomatic missions are being canceled, Lisa added. 3 species have formally requested that we do not send ambassadors to their worlds. Jake understood what was happening. Humanity had won the battle, but they were losing the peace. The galaxy was isolating them. Soon, Earth would be completely alone. Maybe that is for the best, he said quietly, but he knew it was not that simple. Isolation bred ignorance, ignorance bred fear, and fear bred hatred. Eventually, some species would decide that the threat from Earth was too great to ignore. They would band together. They would build new weapons. They would try to destroy humanity before humanity could destroy them. We need to be ready, Jake told his commanders. This is not over. This is just the beginning. In the depths of space, the surviving Zephyrian ships continued their long journey home. Behind them, Earth grew smaller and smaller until it was Just another star in the darkness, but none of them would ever forget the small blue planet. None of them would ever forget the species that lived there. And none of them would ever stop having nightmares about what humans could do when they were threatened. The Empire had laughed at Earth's warning. Now they understood that some warnings should be taken seriously, but the lesson had come too late. The damage was done. Humanity had become the galaxy's monster. And monsters, once created, were very hard to destroy. The war was over. The real consequences were just beginning. Word of the battle reached the galactic core within a week. The most advanced civilizations in known space held emergency meetings. They studied every piece of data they could find. 50 years had passed since the Battle of Earth. Admiral Jake Morrison was now an old man with gray hair and tired eyes. He stood in his office looking out at the stars, remembering the day that changed everything. The galaxy was a different place now. The Zephyrian Empire had collapsed completely. Their homeworld was a quiet place where aliens spoke in whispers about the humans who had broken their minds. Other species had learned to give Earth a wide space. Very wide. Sir, his aide Lieutenant Ben Parker said, entering the office, the monthly report from Galactic Intelligence. Jake took the report and read it slowly. Shipping routes still avoided. Human space by hundreds of light years. Diplomatic communications with Earth had dropped to almost nothing. 3 new species had been discovered in the past year, and all of them had been immediately warned about humans. Any contact attempts? Jake asked. None, sir. The 50 light-year exclusion zone remains intact. No alien vessel has come within that distance in 6 months. Jake nodded. This was both good and bad news. Good because it meant Earth was safe. Bad because it meant humanity was becoming more isolated every year. The young officer hesitated. Sir, there is something else. The Crystalline Federation has established new colonies. They are expanding toward the galactic rim. How far from U.S.? 200 light years, sir. But they are building them like fortresses. Heavy defenses. Large military garrisons. Jake understood. The aliens were not expanding toward Earth. They were expanding away from Earth, but they were also preparing for the day when humans might follow them. Dr. Lisa Park entered the office. She was older now, but still sharp, still dangerous. Jake, we need to talk. Ben Parker left them alone. Lisa sat down across from Jake's desk and opened a file folder. The isolation is getting worse, she said. Our exploration ships are being detected at longer and longer ranges. Every time an alien sensor picks up a human vessel, entire sectors go on alert. What are they saying about us? Jake asked. Lisa read from her notes. The Hive Collective calls us the species that breaks minds. The Altarian Council refers to humans as the Dark Hunters from the Small Blue World. There is a new term spreading through galactic communication networks. They call us the Silence Bringers. Jake laughed, but there was no humor in it. Silence Bringers? Because wherever humans go, the galaxy becomes quiet. Species stop communicating. Trade stops. Exploration stops. Everyone just waits to see what we will do. This was not what humanity had wanted. They had never intended to become the galaxy's boogeyman. They had just wanted to be left alone. How are our colonies doing? Jake asked. Growing, Lisa replied. But slowly, we are finding fewer and fewer habitable worlds. Every system we approach has already been marked as a human zone by other species. They abandon their own colonies rather than risk contact with us. This was another unexpected consequence. As humans explored the galaxy, they created empty zones around themselves. Other species retreated rather than risk meeting them. In some cases, entire civilizations had relocated to avoid potential contact with human ships. Dr. Kevin Chun appeared on the communication screen from his laboratory. He was much older now, but still brilliant. Jake, I have some news about the weapon development program. What kind of news? Jake asked. We have completed Protocol 12. Jake and Lisa exchanged glances. When the military had first developed Protocol 7, they had hoped never to use it. Now they had 5 more protocols beyond that. Each one was worse than the last. What does 12 do? Lisa asked. Kevin was quiet for a moment. It can erase a species from existence. Not just kill them, erase them. Remove all trace that they ever existed. Jake felt cold. Why did we build such a thing? Because we had to stay ahead, Kevin replied. Intelligence reports suggest that several species are working together to develop anti-human weapons. The Void Dancers are building something they call a mind fortress. The Silicon Confederation is creating ships that have no biological crew. This was the arms race that Jake had feared. Humanity had demonstrated new types of weapons. Now other species were building new types of defenses. Soon, someone would build new types of attacks. Sir, Ben Parker called from the outer office. Priority communication coming in. It's from the Galactic Council. Jake sighed. Put it through. Ambassador Vex appeared on the screen. The Altarian looked much older than he had 50 years ago. His tentacles were gray and moved slowly. Captain Morrison, Vex said formally. Admiral Morrison, Jake corrected. What can I do for you, Ambassador? We have a situation that requires human expertise, Vex said carefully. A new species has been discovered in the Outer Rim. They call themselves the Devourers. They are extremely aggressive. They've already destroyed 3 civilizations. Jake waited. He knew where this was going. The Devourers do not respond to diplomacy, Vex continued. They do not take prisoners. They do not follow any of the normal rules of war. The Galactic Council is requesting human assistance in dealing with them. Let me understand this correctly, Jake said slowly. For 50 years you have avoided us. You have warned other species about us. You have made us into galactic outcasts. And now you want our help? Vex's tentacles twisted nervously. The situation is desperate. The Devourers are unlike anything we have encountered. They fight like ... like humans? Jake suggested. Yes. Vex admitted quietly. Jake looked at Lisa. She shook her head slightly. They both knew what this meant. The galaxy had spent 50 years being afraid of humans. Now they had found something that scared them even more. What exactly are you asking? You used to do? Jake said. Stop them, Vex replied. Use your weapons. Your protocols? Whatever it takes? And after we stop them, what then? Do we go back to being galactic outcasts? Vex was quiet for a long time. That would depend on how you stop them, Jake understood. The galaxy wanted humans to solve their problem, but they also wanted humans to remain scary enough that no one else would cause problems. They wanted Earth to be their attack dog. We will consider your request, Jake said. But understand something, Ambassador. If we agree to help, we do it our way. No restrictions, no rules. No complaints afterward about our methods. Agreed. Vex said quickly after the transmission ended. Lisa looked at Jake with concern. Are we really considering this? Maybe, Jake replied. But not for the reasons they think. He called up a star chart showing the Devourer expansion. The new species was moving toward the galactic core. In 50 years, they would reach the borders of human space. We are going to have to fight them eventually, Jake pointed out. Better to fight them now, while they are far away, than wait for them to come to us. Lisa nodded slowly. And if we do this, if we help the galaxy, maybe they will start to see us differently. Or maybe they will be even more afraid of us, Jake countered, when they see what we do to the Devourers. Dr. Amy Foster joined the conversation by video link. I have been studying the Devourer psychology, she reported. They are interesting. They fight very much like humans, but without human restraint. They have no concept of surrender, no understanding of mercy. Sounds familiar, Lisa said dryly. Actually, no, Amy continued. Humans have restraint. Humans understand mercy. We choose when to use it and when not to use it. The Devourers have no choice. They can only fight. They cannot stop fighting even when they should. This was important information. It meant that negotiation with the Devourers was impossible. It also meant that any war against them would have to be a war of complete destruction. Recommendations? Jake asked. If we fight them, we use everything, Amy replied. all protocols, all weapons. We do not hold back at all, because they will not hold back against us. Jake made his decision. Contact the Galactic Council. Tell them we accept their request, but we have conditions. What conditions? Lisa asked. First, we get complete authority over the war effort. No interference from other species. Second, we get access to all galactic military technology and intelligence. Third, after the war, the galaxy agrees to establish formal diplomatic relations with Earth. And if they refuse? Jake shrugged. Then they can fight the Devourers themselves. And in 50 years, when the Devourers reach our space, we will deal with them on our own terms. The message was sent to the Galactic Council. The reply came back within hours. All conditions accepted. The galaxy was desperate enough to agree to anything, but there was something the aliens did not know. Something they had never asked about. In 50 years of isolation, human technology had not stood still. Earth scientists had been working, building, creating new weapons that made Protocol 7 look like a toy. Dr. Helen Carter was now the head of the Advanced Weapons Division. Her team had developed technologies that could rewrite the laws of physics, weapons that could delete sections of space-time, devices that could turn matter into energy and energy into matter. How long to prepare for deployment? Jake asked her. 2 weeks, Helen replied. But Jake, these new weapons are not like anything we have used before. They do not just defeat enemies. They unmake them, completely. Will that be necessary against the Devourers? Helen nodded grimly. Based on what we know about them, yes. They cannot be reasoned with. They cannot be frightened. They can only be removed. Jake Thou.